Well, you're smart. I mean, if you can single-handedly build an Abrams tank, you can certainly run a tuner.
Yeah, I used to single-hand a Ranger 26 sailboat back out of Beverly, Mass. Just until a few years ago. So yeah, I do a lot of stuff by myself.
So, good evening, everybody. I'm not sure who all is in here. I just jumped in, so I was on earlier, but we had to clear for dinner.
Well, what'd you have for dinner?
Maureen made a big burrito.
Yeah, those are always good. We had fried chicken, rice, and vegetables, and one of those melons, those nice orange melons for dessert. So that was fun.
Yeah, we had chicken and rice and vegetables and beans in a wrap, right? So that's what a burrito is. And she's never made them before, and they came out real good. She's made tacos and all that stuff, but I had mentioned a few weeks back that I like burritos. I don't eat a lot of that kind of food, but I have had burritos in the past, and I thought they were pretty good. So I was surprised when I came home. She had it all cooked up and wrapped up and ready to go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had I don't know. We had lunch with Devin Saturday, and we had wraps, chicken Caesar wraps. They were different. They were very good at this little restaurant that's right next door to Devin.
Oh, that's right. You went over to Devin's house. That's right. Okay. Well, how does your friend Gary like his amp? Has he got it home?
No, it's still here. I got to put a headlight in the grid meter. One of the little LED lights is out, but otherwise, if we tested it out here. I was talking to you on it the other day, but he's not ready to put it in the shack yet. He's got to rearrange some area in his shack to accept the amp. Like I say, they're huge. These things, they take up a little room, I'm used to solid state.
How does it do compared in power? The between the two amplifiers with whatever drive, is it the same?
Yeah, it's almost. We know that we made the comparison with the same drive on this one is the same drive on his, and the power output is virtually the same. He's got two of the Chinese tubes. They're Taylors. So, it's got the Taylor badging on it. And I took them out, cleaned them up, and cleaned the globes up, put those back in, and now I just got to do that, thing, and I'll put the LED light in. It's a 12-volt LED, and it doesn't look like it's going to be easy to change, but we'll get it. We'll pry it out and stuff a new one in, I guess, and one SAG.
They have an upgrade kit for those that you can do too. But anyway, yeah, okay, very good. Well, it's a good amp. I know Devin. He wouldn't sell you something that wasn't good.
Yeah, no, it checked out just fine. Plus, he threw in the sequencer that he picked up for that amp. So Gary's just got to get a pigtail for his 991. And he already ordered it, and I got to him. I wanted to call him that night, but I knew he was going out, so we didn't call him. But he reordered, and get the next day. So he ordered the light. I'm sure I'll get it. Maybe we'll have it Friday, and we'll put it in because he comes over on Fridays.
Yeah, very good. I was going to ask you something. The 991. I have a friend that has a 7300 that's virtually new, and he's looking to trade it for a 991 or a 991A. So if Gary is, I'm not sure how much he likes his 991, but if he wants a 7300, I could probably hook him up with a guy that might make a trade if he's at all interested in that.
I don't know. I'll mention it to him. I'll definitely mention it to him. He likes his VHF and UHF, so he's pretty happy. The little 991 is not a bad radio they are what they are, and they work well. So, but I'll mention it to him. Hey, by the way, before I forget, Devin sent you a selfie of us three out in his front yard. And looking back towards the house, I think. I don't know if you opened up your picture catalog yet, or on your phone, or however you do that sort of technological stipulation. N1SAG.
No, I haven't gotten anything from Devin. I haven't gotten a text, an email, or anything else. I would have noticed that right away.
Yeah. I tried to ask him the other night, but there was so much traffic on the net, I don't think I got my question into him if he had sent it yet. So I don't know, when we see him or hear from him, maybe he'll be in tonight. If we remember, we'll mention it. And anyway, just he wanted to take us out, and then we went to eat. He brought us lunch too, so it was a good day.
Yeah, I just shot him a text. Okay, very good. Well, that's good. Seems like every time you buy a piece of equipment from somebody, they feed you in some way or another. You had lunch with him and dessert with us. Anyway, KB2ZVP. Yeah, got to be somebody else besides us three in here.
I'll be back in just a minute.
Marcus.
Hey, Marcus.
W2KRY.
I haven't heard Randy in a while. Have you?
That's Randy? W2, what is it, ARY?
Kilo Romeo Yankee.
You want me to relay for you?
Yeah, would you please? Kilo Romeo Yankee, go ahead.
How you
And
doing,
I'm
Dave?
back.
What's up, Randy?
How you doing, Randall?
Well, I don't know. How's this junk sound tonight?
Yeah, it's not bad for a pile of junk.
Sounds good here, N1SAG. What kind of junk you running?
Same stuff. The old MT1000 with the Quadra, putting out about, right at the minute, about 1,200 horsepower.
Sounds good. Nice and clear.
Yeah, that's a good sounding solid state amplifier. It's way better than that Icon one, that the PW1.
Okay. We're back. N3 or more. And N1DBL's back.
Oh, the party's gonna start now.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mark. Hi, Ray.
Some guy from up by Albany called me about the car, so I've been on the phone with him since.
Did he say he was from upstate?
I don't know. He's up by the Lake George. That's where it is. No, Lake George. That's what he said.
Oh, money's up there.
Seemed pretty knowledgeable. Knew a lot about the car.
What's his name? I know him about.
Rod.
Oh, I know Roddy. We go way back.
Oh, great. Okay.
Let me call him.
Don't you call him
No
Hot
sweat.
Rod?
Yeah, Hot Rod. We call him Hot Rod. He spins around all the time with this little hot beamer.
I don't know what I'm going to do. All the paint came off that BMW. It shriveled up and fell on the floor.
That's funny.
I want a picture of that.
I told you it was going to happen. That's fabulous wax. That's just like the Blue Coral. That's actually what it is, Blue Coral is blue, but it's the same wax. That's a Carnauba wax.
Yeah, that's one of the best waxes you can get for a car, Carnauba. It's a little hard to work with, but it works. It's a good wax for sure. It's a long-lasting wax, too.
Yeah, if you put it on a really good surface, the whole secret to that Blue Coral is you had to use the two steps. You had the pumice, that blue pumice in the bottle, and you had to give it a good rub down with that, and then you put the Blue Coral on top of that, the wax, and it came out beautiful. because I did my mother's mahogany furniture with that Johnson's wax, and boy, I'll tell you that gives you what a shine. You know, I'd love to know where you buy that. I have never seen that for sale. I wonder, that jar my mother has is probably 40 years old. Can you still buy Johnson's wax? Look it up on your computer, somebody. It's in a big, you know, the container 6 inches across. It's one of those metal cans, and it's yellow and black.
Yep, $2.98 all day long on Amazon.com.
They show a picture of it?
Yeah, yellow can.
Yeah, wow, you can still get it. How much does it cost?
I don't know, $2.98, $6, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, that is really good wax, boy. I'll tell you, if you got a good, really nice paint job on a car, and the paint job's like 4 or 5 years old, you go over it with some good, you know, I go over with turtle wax, but turtle wax doesn't quite have enough pumice in it. You need something with a little bit more aggressive, burnish it, and then put that paste wax over it. Beautiful.
Hand soap. The boy's calling me. Be back in a minute. KB2ZVP.
Bob, did you come back?
Yeah, I'm here. KT2D.
Okay, just checking. Now that you're almost one of the club. Christ, you got, I forgot. What do you have, a 7300?
FT1000 MP.
Oh, okay. Well, so you can't have everything. You'll have a good tuner, the radio, well, and what can you do about that?
Yeah, just take them steps at a time.
Yeah, 1000 MP is okay. That's not a bad radio. Nothing wrong with that.
No, it's, like I said, this is the most phone work I've done since I've had my license, so, mostly on CW, so there's a whole bunch of this radio that I'm just starting to use.
You know, I've never really paid attention to the 1000 MP. I'm looking that up on the what do you call it? The Sherwood stuff, Sherwood pages, 1000 MP. I'm getting pretty far back. Better hope I run into it soon.
There's a 1000, there's a 1000D, there's a 1000 MP, and then there's the 1000 MP Mark V.
Yeah, here it is. FT1000 MP Mark V. Is that the one you have?
No, yeah, I just have the MP.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to me. Bob, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure who he was talking to. KT2D.
Okay, so let's see. It's 100 kilohertz spacing's 135. That's not bad. It's 20 kilohertz is 89. That's not good. And 2 kilohertz is 71. Yeah, that's not good. And it's K. Let's see what K is. K. It's 71 with a K. A, B, C, K. At 1 kilohertz, dynamic range was 66. Well, that doesn't... At 1 kilohertz, it's 66. I don't know why they'd even put that in there. So at 2 kilohertz, it's 71. So that's not good, because the good radio's up around 105.
Well, I'm not sure what any of that means. I just know that it works okay for me, and it came with all the filters, and like I said, and I just got into the menu to know that there's all kinds of other stuff I can do with it. So anyway, yeah, that's what I got.
Mark V is a good radio.
And I forgot, what do you have for an amp, Bob?
An AL811H, and I think somebody was trying to get in.
Okay, 811H, got it. Somebody want to get in there? Go ahead. I'm waiting for the warm weather. I'm going to switch over to my Commander so I can loaf along at 1500 watts. WB2BYP N1 DVL. Mark, say something.
Yeah, I'm going to be in and out, Ray. I'm working on the beverage right now.
You mean you're actually going outside at night?
Yeah, I've been out there 6 times already.
Wow. You better watch out. A Bigfoot might get you. You know, there are Bigfoot sightings down in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, not this close to civilization unless they're Democrat Bigfoots because they might be on welfare.
Okay, well, just be careful. Bring a rod with you. Okay, N1 DVL. Bob, do you remember when Schwarzkopf was over in the Mideast during the first Gulf War? You always see him walking around carrying a Remington 870 shotgun.
Yeah, I didn't because I didn't see the news reports till I got back, but CENTCOM General Order Number 1 prohibited us from having personally owned weapons in theater. Yet he's walking around with his Remington.
Well, you know, you seem like a really sharp guy. You know what the difference between you and him was, right?
Yes, I do.
How many stars did he have?
Quattro.
Right, well, okay. That answers that question.
I just so wanted to bring my Colt Combat Commander with me, you know?
Well, first of all, you know, they didn't learn a lesson over there in the Mideast when the 256 guys got killed. I mean, who makes up these crazy rules?
It's risk-averse people, Ray. They would rather have that happen than an accidental discharge that killed a local. Don't ask me to explain it, but when you do off the air, when I talk with you off the air, I'll give you a little background information on stuff like that. But yeah, guards with no weapons but no ammunition. Yeah, that'll be great.
That's just unbelievable, especially somebody of your rank walking around with no gun. That's insane. That's why people hate the government. I mean, I don't even know what to say about something like that. That's just crazy. That's just really, really, really crazy.
Schwarzkopf and Colin Powell and Tommy Franks and Tom Raines was the 1st Infantry Division commander, and all those guys were lieutenants and captains during Vietnam, and it was fresh in their mind the amount of micromanaging and running the war from the White House was fresh in their mind and how they were hamstrung. So aside from that, General, at least we were allowed to be armed. They just didn't want us bringing our own weapons over there for good reasons. But I'll tell you, and I got to hand it to Cheney and H.W. Bush because they let the generals run the war, and those guys ran it the way they should have because it was fresh in their minds on how all the mistakes of Vietnam. So it was really, I was very fortunate to be in a situation where I had people like that over me that just stayed out of your hair. They gave you come up with the order, you come up with the order of battle, the plan, and they just stayed out of your hair and let you execute. It was, it'd be nice if we could get back to that.
You know, they still should be executing from the original war because, see, the difference between me and them was, and this is why I guess I'll never be a 5-star general or I'll never be a president, because once the first guy died, once the first U.S. troop guy died in that war, then I would have flattened the all the bad guys, and I would have kept the oil. Okay, we won it. we keep it. I would have given Kuwait back their oil because that was what we were there for. But when we took the Basra oil field, we should have just kept it, put a fence around it, gave what's that, black whatever, that, you know, the what do they call those? The soldiers of fortune, Blackwater. Yeah, Blackwater. Gave it to them and said, here, you keep it, and Shell and Mobil and whatever, Exxon, you pump all the oil you want for free. And then those guys wouldn't screw with us ever again.
Yeah, but I'm with you. It just when the diplomats get involved, and it just kind of tends to go downhill fast. But you got to wonder sometimes before you go in. What do you envision the end game? What is the end game? How is this? How do you want this thing to end up? So anyway, KT2D, back to you guys.
Yeah, well, like I said, if I was running the show, it would be a totally different thing. Well, just look at it this way. If George Patton was running the show, it would have been a totally different thing.
Yeah, George Patton probably, in this day and age, he would be passed over for major, and he'd probably have to go work for Procter & Gamble or something, because, the warrior ethic is, it's not as prevalent as you would want. Geez, that commercial on TV says Warriors Wanted in Winnipesaukee. Yeah, it does say that, doesn't it? Yeah, it's quite a flashy commercial. You got guns going off, bombs dropping.
Well, I hope they don't hamstring the SEALs.
I don't think they ever will. They're pretty independent, and the Navy does a good job of keeping them protected. The Army does a good job because they're all under special ops control, and so they're kind of outside of the mainstream Pentagon. It makes them, the Pentagon doesn't like the special ops people because they operate on their own. So you got the Army with the Rangers and Delta Force, and you got the Air Force with their parajumpers. They're kind of commando guys. So fortunately, they're isolated from all that other kumbaya and stuff like that.
Do you want to hear a fun story you might like?
Yeah, sure.
Here's a world-famous Toad Harbor Net kind of cool story. When I was, about 1974, I bought a KTM motorcycle. I had a Honda MT250 dirt bike, and I bought it brand new, and I bought it in the winter. And as soon as the springtime came, I drove it, for about 2 weeks, just sort of learning how to drive. And the frame broke in two spots, and oh my God, the frame broke in two different spots, and just light-duty use, and something else broke. So I brought it to the dealer, and the dealer couldn't get a frame. It sat in the dealer for over a year, okay? So in the interim, I bought this KTM 250 Penton. It was a Penton KTM. Incredible dirt bike made in Austria. I think they were made in Austria, but what a machine. So anyway, I met this guy by the name of Alan Zitta. Alan Zitta. Remember that name. He was just, oh my God. He was like Randy on steroids. He was just one crazy, almost like the eyes go two different directions and everything. He was a hell of a machinist, and he was a guy like Randy. He could weld, he could build, he could do anything. And he sold dirt bikes, and he sold KTMs, and he sold Husqvarna. And I got to be pretty good buddies with him. And he was over in Agawam, and I used to go over there and hang around and shoot the bull with him once in a while. And I had a Corvette with nitrous oxide on it, and he wanted to see how the nitrous oxide worked, so we took the carburetor off, and and it had a 1-inch split plate under the carburetor, and the lines from the nitrous oxide came into there with the extra fuel. So he says, I want to see how this thing works. Take the carburetor off. So we take the carburetor off, and we're all sitting there, and he goes, turn it on. I go, turn it on without the carburetor? He goes, yeah. There's all these guys standing around looking at it, and I flip the electric solenoid switch, and that thing comes on, and the vapor pressure in the tank is like 800 psi. It almost blew everybody's hair off. He was hysterical. He was laughing like crazy. He's a crazy person. So anyway, I knew him for, 5-6 years over there. So eventually he buys a Harley-Davidson dealership up by Greenfield, Massachusetts, okay? And he starts selling Harleys and doing the same thing. He was just a motorcycle guy. Now, this is the good part. On the side, this guy was, remember I told you, he was a hell of a machinist, and he's also a brilliant, I don't know what the wording you'd use is. He's a brilliant, builder of things. So he starts building guns, and he starts building these incredible guns, just everything to do. He was modifying AR-15s with real good triggers. I mean, I bought one of his. I bought one used from some dealer, and this gun had the most incredible trigger. It was an AR-15, and all you had to do was just put your finger on the trigger and just breathe on it, and it would go off. And I'd say it had about a 2.5-pound trigger pull, absolutely no creep whatsoever, which is very unusual for a gun like that. And I couldn't understand how a gun like that could have such a good trigger. And it had this rubber thing somewhere in the mechanism there. It had this like neoprene rubber thing in there, and that's the trick part. That's a part that he designed. Number one, he would take the gun apart and do the machine work on it to get the trigger like that, and then that neoprene rubber thing in there did something else to stop the oscillation or whatever. And anyway, I found out that he had done the trigger job on this, and this is years after he bought the Harley-Davidson dealership, and I had sort of lost track of him. So I called him up one time, and I said to him, this gun's got this orange neoprene rubber thing in it. He goes, yeah, that's one of mine. I said, how the hell can you have an AR-15 with a 2.5-pound trigger pull and it doesn't go full auto? He goes, because I know what I'm doing. And he says, nobody else does. And he said, you're smart for asking that question. He said, because most guys, that gun, when you pull the trigger, it'll shoot twice or 3 times sometimes, He said, but not my guns. They're really good. So anyway, he started designing all these oddball guns. And he started designing them for the Navy SEALs. His guns were so good, and he started making his own guns. And he almost had like an exclusive deal going with some admiral in Washington, and he made all their specialized guns. Okay, you follow that so far, right?
Yep, I'm with you.
Okay, here's the good part. One day the ATF shows up, and they go and they said, are you Alan Zitta? Yeah. He goes, well, we got a warrant to search this place. And he goes, well, what are you talking about? He goes, well, we heard you have automatic weapons here. And he says, yeah, I do. He says, but you can't see them. He said, these are all secret stuff. He said, you can't even come in here. He goes, well, we are coming in. So they come in, surround the place, take all his guns. They take all of his guns and they cart them away. They just got the biggest, motorcycle madman, crazy Hell's Angel guy building automatic weapons. You understand their look at this?
Oh, yeah. So you had a bunch of ATF suits come in, and they're going to try to boss them around.
Right. So anyway, they're going out the door with all this stuff, and he goes, guys, listen, he said, I got to tell you, you're making a big mistake here. He said, you really shouldn't be doing this. He says, you have no idea what you're doing by even seeing these guns. He said, these are not to be even seen. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so Alan calls his admiral in in Washington, tells him what just happened. They took everything. He says they took everything. All your stuff is gone. So the next day, the ATF comes back, and they all come back in, and they bring all the guns back in with all this paperwork and everything. And the guy says to him, he goes, I got to tell you, Mr. Zitta, I got to tell you, I don't know who the hell you know. He said, but I have never, ever gone through what I went through the last couple of days. He said, I don't know who you know, but he said, he says, you know, guys, I really tried to tell you. He said, but you guys just didn't want to listen. So anyway, I thought, that was a big story around this area for a while.
I'll tell you, that warms my heart to find, so the score is probably 460,000 to 1. So at least one, got those guys.
Right, but in all honesty, those guns were secret. I mean, those were a lot of those guns were hand-built. Nobody's ever made one before. They were specialized stuff just for the Navy SEALs. Whatever they thought they wanted, he would build them for him. And as crazy as it may seem, he was that good. You know what I'm saying? He would hand scratch build a gun from scratch, and he had all the right paperwork. That's the part that drove him crazy and everybody else around here. He had all the paperwork that he could do that. He was a manufacturer. He's a federal firearms license holder. He had automatic weapon stuff. Everything was legit. But just because he was a motorcycle dealer, they came and raided him.
I am not surprised in the least. Not in the least.
Well, like you said, that's probably the one time out of 50,000 that happened.
And I'm back, KB2ZVP.
Were you talking to Rod? What did he say?
I was talking to my son.
Oh, okay.
Is Alan Zitta still around?
Oh, man, I don't know. If he's still around, he's awful old. He used to run, he used to actually race. He was in his 50s when I knew him. I was probably in my late 20s. I'd say I was in my late 20s, and he was probably in his early 50s. And he was still motocross racing.
Okay, all right, yeah, so he's a couple years older than us. Okay.
Yeah, he was like really wiry, you know what I'm saying? He was probably, 6 feet tall. He probably weighed 160 pounds or something. He was thin and, real wiry. One time I was driving, remember I told you I bought when my first bike I bought from him was a KTM, a 250 KTM dirt bike, and these things were incredible. They were just so far ahead of anything else. They were made out of these were honestly made out of flying saucer metal. If you try to put them, I saw him trying to mill one of the swing arms, the shock mounts off the swing arm on a Bridgeport with a cutter, and it just tore the cutter right up. Just tore it right up. That's how the metal on these bikes were. They never, the frames never broke, nothing ever bent. They were just amazing. So one day I'm driving this KTM, and I climbed this big tall hill at a what do they call it? Where people go and get sand, landfill place, big giant huge sand pit. And there was these big hills, and they take sand from the side of the mountain, and there'd be all these hills you could climb. So I climbed this big huge hill, and I just go over the top, and I put the front wheel over the top, and the back wheel is still on the hill, and I'm sitting there looking. I'm 100 feet above the terrain, and I'm just sitting there looking around, having a great time, and I give the engine a little rev, and I let go of the clutch, and the bike takes off backwards. Now, don't forget, it's downhill like on a 30-degree angle. So the bike takes off backwards, and I go ass over tea kettle, and the boom, 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 roll down the hill and everything. So I said to myself, that bike took off backwards. And everybody said, you're crazy, you're nuts, you were on a rock, you were this. So next time I went over to see him, all the guys are sitting there having lunch, and I said, this is what happened to me. I was on this hill, and I gave it a little gas, and I let the clutch go, and the thing took off backwards. I almost got killed. Well, these guys start laughing. They start laughing so hard, I thought they were going to have a heart attack. So the guy Alan says to me, he goes, "You didn't know?" He said, "I never told you that the engine on those will run backwards like that." I said, "No, you never told me." I said, "I told everybody it was running backwards, but nobody would believe me." He goes, "No, they run backwards." He said, when it's sitting there idling, he said, if you hear it miss, he said, most likely it's running backwards. So after that happened, I get into a tight spot, and I just play with the throttle, and it'd go, boop, and the engine run backwards, and then you could back it up. You back up to where you needed to go, and then you play with the throttle for a second, and it starts running forward again, and you just drive forward.
So was that a two-cylinder?
Yep.
One cylinder?
Yep.
Yeah. There are some diesels that would do that too if you weren't careful. Not in bikes, of course.
Yep, it's funny because then I bought a 400 KTM, and the 400 wouldn't do it, but the 250 definitely would do it. I could make it back up at will, no problem at all. You just give the throttle a little bit of play it with a second, and you hear it miss, and you back up, and then you play with it again, and you drive out forward. It was really quite convenient as long as you knew it was happening.
Yeah, but I bet if you didn't, it would be a bit startling.
Yeah, when you're sitting up at the top of a hill like that, it sure was.
I can't believe there wasn't a lawsuit over that.
And in this day and age, there would be.
Yeah, it's probably because of the time frame too. But yeah, boy, I just shudder to think if that happened today.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not only would the motorcycle company be sued, but the tire company and the paint company would all be in on it too.
Whoever walked past the factory that day would be sued.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a Corvette, a Harley, and a KTM, all in the same garage. Now, tell me that's not cool.
Yeah, but I had a 1960 Ford Falcon with 3 on the column.
Did it have the 6-cylinder? No, 4. Did it have the 4? No, they had 6. Did it have a 6-cylinder engine?
Yeah, it was a 6-cylinder. It was a really neat car, actually.
Was it turquoise?
No, it was like a metallic green, and I liked it because if it was foggy out, the car would just blend right in with the fog. If you turn your lights on, you were almost completely in stealth mode.
We had one of those too. It was a 1961 I think it was a 61 or 62 Falcon, 6-cylinder stick on the column, that turquoise color. Boy, I would love to have that car today. So where'd Marky go? Well, Mark, are you still working on your beverage? What's going on? I can't believe Mark's actually outside working on an antenna in the dark.
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, man. The Kennedy curse is going to get him.
You lived through a KTM. I mean, I'm surprised the Kennedy curse hadn't already gotten you.
Believe you me, I lived through stuff that you wouldn't believe. So I've been lucky. That's why I don't take any more chances. I used up all my luck when I was young.
It's still daylight down here yet.
Yeah, I'm sure.
WA3FPN.
So, okay, give us your report. What did the doctors say?
I still have not heard anything.
Look, here's what you got to do. Go get the X-ray. Send a copy to me. Send a copy to Randy, and we'll get together and let you know.
All right, I'll be on that first thing in the morning.
Yeah, just don't text it to Randy.
You're the only individual in the world that can't text me. You know that?
I can't help it that you're blocking me.
I don't think I'm blocking you. I should check that. Maybe I made a mistake. No, obviously I'm not, because I can get texts from you, just not the pictures.
Well, I tell you, when I call you from my home phone, your phone rings, and right when it's supposed to give me the message, it hangs up. You know, it rings like 5 times, and then my phone just hangs up. Now, my phone does not do that with anybody else except yours.
Try it right now. We'll do an on-the-air experiment. I'm going to prove you wrong yet again.
Here we go.
Okay. Yeah? What do you want?
You picked up. You're not supposed to pick up.
Well, okay. I didn't know that. You didn't... Did anybody know that?
Yeah. This is like George Burns and Gracie here.
Okay, here we go again. Don't pick up. Now it's not. Hello? Oh, there it goes. Okay, listen. What?
Testes, large dangling testes, 1, 2, testes, 1, 2.
There. Just went dead.
Well, I don't know what the heck is the matter with your phone.
It only does it with you. Anybody else, it'll go through to their message, but maybe it's too many rings. I don't know, but it rings that last ring, and then bang, I just get a dial tone.
He's got a messed up phone, Ray. Trust me.
No, this phone's not messed up. It works nonstop. Never. I don't think this phone ever fails.
Where's John? I want his report. I want his report on the antenna.
He was supposed to send me a file, and I never heard from him.
Yeah, well, we gotta keep on working on that setup, because I'm telling you, that antenna there is going to be the right one. There's so many different things you can do with antennas. I really, if I had a big giant field like that in a tower I could get up and down, I'd be changing it every other day. So anyway, Russ, the question is, you said that the antenna won't tune on 160, but then you said, well, the feed line length has to be changed. So basically, if you change the feed line so the antenna tunes right on 160, then it would work fine, right?
Yeah, but the problem is, it gives you coverage on every ham band from 80 up till 10, just fine. It just won't bring 160 in. As soon as you fiddle around with the feed line to make 160 come in, it craps all the other bands apart. I mean, that thing works perfectly on 60 meters. I mean, it's just fantastic to see something that you know, that you see where it's got dips in there for 80 and 60 and 40 and 20, like boom, 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 and but no, it does. The best I could do with a reasonable length of open line feed was like 30, an SWR of 33 on 160.
Well, what happens if you make the lines coming off the top shorter or longer?
I elongated them, and it didn't make any difference. I don't know if that configuration's like, you know, I tried it as a triangle, or like one off of each leg of the tower, so 3 of them. Then I tried 4 of them, and gave them what would be if you're boxing in a tower with 1 foot like 1 foot sides, you're figuring probably a 2 foot square there, right, to box it in. And it just, the way that you feed it, it's hard to model the thing, but even you can make pretty dramatic changes, and it doesn't change the fundamentals of the thing as far as like resonance and stuff like that. So that's a tough one, and I'm putting like 30 radios underneath it, and it takes forever for it to plot out the SWR for all of the HF bands, because the computer can only move so fast when you get that much complexity in it.
Well, okay, you're feeding it at the bottom. What happens if you do the same thing? The tower is isolated from ground. Okay, so forget the radial ground system for now. The tower is isolated from ground, and you have the 4 wires coming off the top of the tower, which are basically make them a quarter wave, so change them out to a quarter wave instead of being too short. And you take the feed line, the open wire feed line, up the center of the tower, and you feed half the tower with one half of the feed line, and you feed the wires with the other half of the feed line. So basically it's a center fed dipole. It's an inverted V almost, fed that way. What would happen then?
Well, it gets friendlier towards 160, but the gain on the thing starts to drop out, and you also start to get worse and worse as far as it being a multi-band antenna. It's not so bad. I mean, like if you're looking for like heavy dips and stuff, right? But if you want to like take a manual tuner to it, it's not hard to find a point where like every band from 80 to 10 is something that you could probably pull in with just tweaking it a little bit in the tuner. It's just trying to get it to where it does all those bands and it does 160 at the same time. That's just a tough one.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you just got to build it and try it.
Yeah, it's hard to account for things. The way that they wrote that code and the way that things plug together, it won't let you do certain things that would seem to be intuitive. It just won't let you do it. It's just like, oh no, you can't do it that way, because when you try to do it a certain ways where you might be able to get away with it in real life, it breaks the program. It contravenes the NEC code, and then the results don't come out like realistically, and sometimes they don't come out realistically anyway. But I built some antennas and I modeled them precisely, and and the program generally agrees with what you're trying to do. But you've got to make like 1 million antennas before you get to the point where you kind of got a decent grasp. But if it's an oddball antenna or a little off, man, it's a tough one. It's it's what they call empirical. You just have to experiment.
But anybody puts up a quarter wave vertical against 120 radials, and then brings it out to 3/8 wave, and then brings it out to 3/8 to 6/16, 7/16 wave, and even half wave. It's just going to keep on working better. I mean, for a fact, that's a fact you can't dispute, because many people have done it. The longer that the antenna is, the better they work, and it's noticeably better. So I can't understand why that computer program is. I don't think it is telling you the truth, because if Randy built that tower and then just took and went to 3/8 or 7/16 of a wave off the wire off the top of the tower, stretched it over to a tree, it would work better. Now the only thing I don't know is if you had 4 wires up there, would that screw it up? I don't know. It seems to me like 4 wires would certainly work a lot better than 1, but it's just something you're going to have to try. That's all. What about the angle of radiation? That was the thing I was really looking for. If you have the tower there, if you have a quarter wave tower fed against the radial ground, the angular radiation is going to be what? About 13 degrees, 13 or 14, 15 degrees. What is that thing when you put the wires off the top? What happens to the angle of radiation?
Actually, you can change where the feed point is. And I've varied it. You don't get a lot of advantage going beyond 20% off of the bottom of the antenna. So there's like a sweet spot, and if you just feed one of the wires, of course the wires are connected at the base, right? They're not connected at the top. They're connected at the base. But if you feed it just one of the wires, it gives you a high takeoff angle. It gives you like 65 degrees, and if you drop it down to 45 degrees, you lose like maybe a half a dB, right? So that's right in there where you want to be. Now, if you feed it at the same point, but on all 3 wires, and then the same goes for the 4-wire configuration, your takeoff angle drops down to 25 degrees. So it's a pretty significant change. It's actually something you could probably toggle in and out. Like say, hey, I want to go DX, so I'll feed all of the wires, or hey, I'm just going to rag chew with the crazy guy in Connecticut, and they just feed one of the wires. Now, when you feed one of the wires, it does make it slightly directional. So that's something else to consider as well.
You said something about the wires coming off the bottom. What does that mean? You mean the ground wires or the wires, the radiating wires?
Yeah, the actual 4 wires. You connect them together at the base, and my assumption was that you wanted all of them connected together, right? I never connected them together at the top, but you get dramatically different functionality out of it if you don't connect them. Because you can, the program won't it'll let you feed for multiple sources, but none of them make any sense to the real world. So it's very, very hard to model multiple feed points and certain configurations of where the source comes in, where the signal's coming into the antenna. It pretty much, you play around with all the different combinations, and then you kind of go, okay, it'll probably work this way reasonably well, but you don't know definitively. It's like you said, you got to play around with it in the real world.
Well, you got me all confused. Wires coming off the bottom. What is that? I don't even know what you're talking about. Just picture the standard quarter wave vertical antenna sitting in the middle of a field working against 120 radials, okay? So it's sticking up 125 feet. It's got 120 radials, 120 feet long on the bottom, on the ground. Now, the 4 wires that I was talking about come off the top of the tower. So, in other words, you add the length of wire that we talked about from the top of the tower, and you spread the wires 90 degrees apart. So they're just adding to the length of the vertical. So instead of being 125 feet, it's going to be 220 feet. Is that what you did? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, listening to Randy talking, he wanted multiple wires to go up on each leg of the tower. Not not a single wire. He wanted multiple wires.
Yeah, that's why you're getting all screwed up. No, Randy's wires were just all they're gonna do is bond the tower. So forget any wires going up. Just think of the tower sitting there vertically 125 feet, and between the sections of the tower, there's a little bonding strap 6 inches long bolted between section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. No vertical wires, no nothing. You got one vertical driven element, forget anything about that, and then 4 wires off the top on coming down on a 45-degree angle, or even a higher angle than that. That's why you're getting all these crazy readings.
All right. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was bonding the 4 vertical wires together at the base, and I'll tell you what, though, that's a heck of a configuration, though, Ray. It's not good on 160, but man, every other ham band falls right into place on that thing. Like you could use your internal tuner on your radio to make that antenna work for you. That configuration is a good multi-band antenna. But I'll run it with a single wire, and we'll see what it looks like. But you want 4 to come out of the top like a cap hat or something?
That's exactly right. Just picture the vertical tower sticking out of the ground as just one tower. No wires, no nothing, because it doesn't really matter. All Randy was going to do was bond the vertical together so he had real good electrical connection. But forget that. You just got a vertical tower 125 feet tall, and then you got 4 wires coming off the top of that vertical, off the top of the vertical tower, 90 degrees opposed from each other. And the length I came up with was 9. In other words, so the tower's 125 feet tall, and the wires coming off the top, north, south, east, and west, are 98.05 feet, or 98 feet long, for a total length of the vertical going up and then out to the side of 123 feet. And that's what it is, and that's 7/16. And I kind of suspect that one there is going to work the best.
E3G.
Yeah, whoever came in there, go ahead.
Yeah, Joe here, down here in Ely'sburg, PA.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. I just want to bounce in there a little bit on that antenna that he's experimenting with.
Well, he's not experimenting with the same antenna that I was dreaming up.
Tell him to, I don't know if he can hear me or not, tell him to look up antennaproducts.com.
Why? What's that got to do with whatever?
Well, what they have is, it's called a HF, conical monopole broadband. And I had one constructed at my old QTH. And mine was 95 feet high, and at the top I had cross beams, with EMT. I had 6 drops off of that. The EMT was 10 foot. It was like a cap pad. I had 6 drops, and the drops were 90 feet apiece. And at the base of the antenna, I had them all tied together with an insulator. What I had to do was experiment with the radius and the length of the drops. And I started out on 1850, and it was a 3-bander.
Yeah, you're talking about something like a, what do they call those? Like sort of like a disc cone?
Yes, that's what it's like, upside down disc cone.
Yeah, no, this is different than that.
No, not a disc cone antenna. It's actually well, look it up. I can't describe it.
costly to you. Anyway, I didn't make that darn thing, and it worked on 3 bands, and I didn't need a tuner for it after I had it all tweaked with 125 radios.
Yeah, it sounds like an antenna that would work good. Probably had a wide bandwidth too, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Yep. Like I said, it was fed at the base off of an insulator in the center of the Roan 25. I had the insulator at the base, and I had all those drops connected there. And they came out like a cone, and to the top with the six pieces of EMT, crisscrossed. And the tower itself, I had every one of the connections. I spot welded every one of them. Took a long time to make, but I finally got it tweaked, and it worked out great. And it had a 19-degree angle takeoff.
It's not still up anymore?
No, I had to give it up to the ex-wife.
Ah, bummer.
Yeah, I miss it. All right, can I get out of here? I just thought I'd throw my 2 cents in.
What frequency is the ex-wife on?
He's on my X frequency.
Okay.
Hey, Mark, did you ever get back, or were you eaten by a Bigfoot?
What was your call out there? Is it Joe?
Yeah, KE3EG, Kilo Echo 3 Echo Golf.
Have you been in here before, Mark? I'm sorry, Joe?
Yeah, a couple times. Not often, though.
Okay, very good. I'm Randy, and my call is Kilo Bravo 2, Zulu Victor Papa. Good to talk to you.
I think we talked 2 or 3 times. Like I say, I'm not a regular in here. I'm usually up on 58.
Yeah, I've got you in my log here a couple of times. I've talked to you. I guess it looks like on 80 meters. I think you came in, didn't you come in on 80 meters one morning when we were in there talking?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, you know the deal here. Everybody's a little bit irregular here.
Well, I must fit in someplace along those lines. Hey, you're not going to stay in, Randy and Ray, and I don't know who the other guy was that was playing around with those types of antennas, but I'll tell you, they really worked.
Yeah, that's a professional antenna company. I mean, they make stuff for the military, the whole bit. That's a pretty interesting website.
I got those designs off of Ivan Payne up in Canada. He was a broadcast engineer, and he sent me down material about an inch thick of material. I saw that antenna. I went down to Virginia Beach, the naval base, and they have them down there set up. That's what the military uses.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty sensational antenna.
Yep.
There's all kinds of great antennas, and nobody ever even thinks about using them.
Well, okay, Joe here, he said the magic words, okay? The magic words were what?
Store-bought.
No, had nothing to do with that. This is a company that you'd be lucky to be able to afford to buy this stuff. It was a lot of work. That's the problem.
It took a long time. It took me about a year to work at it. You know, laying out a little bit of radios at a time, a little bit more at a time to find out the sweet spot.
If you see these conical monopoles that they have here, Ray, it's amazing. This is no joke.
No, and like I said, if you actually built one of them and did it right, it'd probably work absolutely fantastic, because it's got to have an extremely wide bandwidth.
There are ways to make shorter ones, and the shorter ones that you make, they go up. Like I say, mine was a 3-bander, pretty well flat. But if you make a shorter one, start at 40 meters, you can go up 3 or 4 more bands on it.
Yeah, we're only really worried about 160, probably 160, 80, and 60.
Yeah, well, All right, I gotta go. My dog wants to go out, and the wife is up there screaming, so... not the ex-wife, the present one. All right, I'll bounce in again sometime. KE3G.
Yeah, anytime. 73 N1 DVL.
Yeah, you're sounding good up here, Joe. 73.
That's barefoot.
Yeah, you're doing a good job.
That's an interesting antenna, conical monopole. It looks like Ray's cage vertical.
Similar to it.
You know, if you had enough room and you built that antenna right, you wouldn't need a tuner. It would probably work on all bands, and it would probably have a very, very good SWR on all bands.
Yeah, they're saying this broadband dipole antenna, 2 to 30 megs, 5 dB of gain, but that's got to be on the high bands. But they got some nice stuff, Ray. Unfortunately, you can't see any of it, but pretty nice stuff.
They have prices?
I haven't seen any yet. I've got to look. There's a lot of pages to look through here. They've got they have really interesting looking tower supports, and they make all kinds of stuff. Request a quote. Okay, there it is. I got to request a quote.
Hey, you know where I saw a conical monopole. You know where I saw it?
Nope.
On the bow of BB-61, USS Iowa.
Oh, is that what they use?
It was in Kiel Harbor when I was in Germany. I went on it with a tour, and I saw it there. It's just something that stuck in my head. At first, I thought it might have been a disc cone, but it was actually, I just pulled up a picture. It's a conical monopole that they use there, probably for backup on all their SAT systems and everything. HF backup. Interesting.
Can you imagine having a vertical on the bow of your battleship out in the middle of the ocean, Randy? Now that's what you call a signal.
Yeah, you'd do okay there, wouldn't you?
I would think so. I guess you got quite a ground.
What a big fat waste of time. How did it go, Mark? 10-3 or more.
All I know is the Bigfoot didn't get him.
I'm impressed. I'm selling all this junk and getting out of it.
I'll give you what you got into it.
Yeah, maybe $2,500.
No, you said you had nothing into it.
Well, with all of the junk radio equipment that I got and my labor and $2,500. So what were you fixing, Mark? Well, I neglected a very obvious thing that both Ray and Randy have been talking to me about lately, and that's about antenna interactions. Oh, yes. And when you put two beverages underneath of your loop and then try to use them as beverages and they're close to resonant, they cause problems. Yeah, see, you highly experienced guys would know this. I would find out by accident. Obviously, I'm not highly experienced, although I should be, but it was just a dumbass mistake. I wasn't thinking. I was all gung-ho and thinking, oh, wow, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, I could do that, and I didn't stop long enough to think about, hey, how about the RF that you're going to induce on the wire coming back to the radio and make the amp squeal? Does it only do it when you get the amp on? Will it do it under lower power? If I can't use it with the amp on, what's the point of having it? That was just an academic question.
So I had to go back to the exact design that I put out last night that took me 20 minutes to build, and it works just fine. So, oh well, you know. I can run a beverage from the current node on the loop, perpendicular to the current flow, the way I'm feeding the loop, but I can't run a beverage parallel, not even any length of it underneath parallel. It induces RF. But if I run it perpendicular to the current feed, it's okay up to a certain length. Interesting.
You know, changing the subject totally. I know that I mentioned to several of you that I've been making my own pancake batter from scratch every day. Well, the other day when I had done it the first day out of necessity because I didn't have any pancake batter, and I found out that it was very delicious. Although I put a quarter tablespoon of salt into it like they claim you're supposed to, and that was a mistake. Now I leave the salt out completely and put a little bit extra sugar in. It makes a really nice pancake. But anyway, here's the point. The point is, it dawned on me, Nature's Promise, which is the organic company, doesn't make a pancake batter. At least I couldn't find one. So I dug out, before I took my trash out the other day, I dug out the box from the commercial pancake batter, like, you know, store-bought pancake batter. Two different brands. One was Jemima, the other one was something else. But I looked on the pancake batter box, and I said, you know, I just can't believe there's any chemicals in pancake batter. Why would they put chemicals in a pancake batter? Well, I'll tell you what, guys. You got to listen to Devin. Devin, we all know Devin's smart. But I'll tell you what, you know, he told me a story about his wife and how she wasn't feeling well, and they put her on an organic diet, and she felt a lot better. All I can tell you is, when you got nothing to do someday, take out your box of Aunt Jemima and look at the ingredients in that, and you'll have a heart attack to find out there's like 4 or 5 chemical substances which you've never even heard of in your whole life, and it's even in pancake batter. So, again, I'm back to, you know, I scoured the store today. Randy asked me what I did today. I spent an hour or more walking around the store looking for all the organic material they have in those stores now. Because I can assure you that every single thing you buy now is just loaded with chemicals that don't even make any sense to me whatsoever. I just can't understand why you'd have to put chemicals into pancake batter. N1DVO.
Emulsifiers, softeners, preservers, flavor enhancers. Oh, yeah.
Well, all I can say is my pure stuff is a lot better for you.
Dude, you just get some, well, I can't do wheat, so I have to use rice. But, I mean, if you can do wheat, get some organic whole wheat, eggs, oil, milk, baking powder, a little bit of sugar. Make your own.
I am making my own, but the thing I can't find is I can't find organic flour. I found organic, some types of, not flour, but stuff like it, like flaxseed, matter of fact. The flaxseed I buy is organic, but I haven't found organic flour yet, but that's my next thing I've been hunting for.
That's going to be a tough one, Ray, because hold on a minute. So Ray, changing the subject back shortly, I'm looking at these conical monopoles, and there's this these Navy communication stations. There's a folded vertical set at the bottom. It goes up to the top and then down to the ground again, grounded vertical tower, and there are 3 guys that are energized, and they're terminated with capacitors at the ground. Sounds a little bit like a couple of things you mentioned, but dig up a little bit. This is intriguing.
Like I said, if you could get a hold of a professional antenna book, stuff like Randy was just reading from that company there, and you study through them. There are so many incredible antennas out there, and I really believe that us hams have just barely scratched the surface with types of antenna systems you could put up that would really give you good performance.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, hey, Ray, why don't you check out the internet? You could probably find organic whole wheat, but you don't have the internet.
Well, I'll just keep on prodding around the store there and see if I can find some organic flour.
I'm thinking that maybe King Arthur flour might be what you want to check out. In the it's quite costly. That whole line is very costly, but that's top shelf stuff. King Arthur flour, and I believe there's another brand I could check for you too at the regular grocery store. That's I think they make an organic version, whole wheat. They have also other grains like millet and barley and stuff of that nature. But King Arthur is a very good flour.
Yep, King Arthur makes an organic. Bob's Red Mill, take a bunch of them. Simple Truth Organic. Bob Red's Mill makes like 4 different kinds.
Yeah, I've seen that stuff, but it's not flour. They don't call it flour. What do they call it? Meal mix?
They call it flour here.
Okay, because that other stuff, that other company there, that's the flaxseed I buy, and they have a bunch of organic stuff, but it's not flour. You know, I'm looking for flour, but I'll find it eventually. But I bought our organic. I can't believe it's not butter. No, the other company there, Smart Balance. Yeah, they make an organic margarine, which I bought today. It's a little tiny tub, and it costs a lot more money, but it's still organic.
We mill your own.
I don't have a churn. Do you happen to have one?
No, but I'd like to find a decent small one.
We can make one, you guys.
Okay, a couple of rounds of granite.
You don't need a churn to make your own butter. You just need a mason jar with a good lid on it, and you shake it.
And what do you put in there?
I'm talking about a mill to mill your own flour.
Yeah. You can buy old mills that are not being used anymore. The stones from a mill, they're still good stones.
Yeah, but I want one I can, tuck under my counter, pull out when I need to grind a cup and a half or 2 cups.
Oh, well, you're going to have to gain some weight and use a stone rolling pin.
Hey, I got a mystery for all you brilliant people out here, and a lot of you guys out here now are pretty damn smart. No, I hate to admit it, but you are. In the woods, about I don't know, maybe a half a mile or 3/4 of a mile from my house, in the woods. Closest road is probably 100 and maybe 150 yards away. And this is on the back side of this mountain I live on. I ran into big round stones. There's 3 of them laying in the woods, half buried. And these stones are, if I remember, this has been like, 6 years since I've been out there. But these stones are about maybe, I'd say 4 feet in diameter, and they're round and they're square. They're round like a wheel, but they're square on the edges, and they have holes drilled right in the middle of them. And they've been there, I'm guessing they've been there for 100, 150, 200 years. What are those? Does anybody have any guess?
Millstones.
That's what they are? They're a millstone?
Yeah, go out and look at them. They should have little channels cut in them, too, from the center hole out towards the rim.
I'll see if I can find them again. God, they're I don't know if I can even get there anymore, but maybe I'll take a ride one of these days. I don't know. I think there's houses built in the way now. I can walk out there, but yeah. So let's say they are millstones. What they've probably been there since the 1700s?
Yeah, I don't know. 1800s. Yeah, that's what Randy wants me to use.
You can actually buy a commercial milling machine, Ray, that doesn't have millstones in it, but you plug it into the wall and you pour your grain in the top, and it can set your thing for fine or coarse, and it comes with a bag underneath it. You can fill it up.
It's like a coffee grinder.
Yeah, where do you get grain?
Well, that's also available too. I'm just not really sure. My grandfather used to get all of that stuff from Walnut Acres. Used to be a place here in Pennsylvania that was all organic, all natural foods back in the day, probably 35, 40 years ago. And I'm sure there's still places like that that's available up in you guys' neck of the woods, because there's a lot of health nuts up there, being so many socialistic, liberal type people.
Yeah, or a co-op, one of the, because you're in a kind of an agricultural area, Ray. Get out of Springfield, but a co-op should have whole grains.
Yeah, but you can get all that stuff because people use that for brewing beer, right? Those, they call them wheat berries or something like that. Or you can get flaked wheat. You can get all that stuff. I'll bet you'd be surprised at how many stores carry that where you live, Ray.
Yeah, I agree with you, but you have to go hunt through the store, because I went to one of the managers there today, and I asked her, I said, could I get a list of all your Nature's Promise stuff in the store? And she said, Chief, I don't know. She said I could ask, but I don't think we have one. You know, they sell it. You just got to go hunting around. I mean, you know how big big grocery store is, and you hunt around, and every aisle there's a few of these Nature Promise things stuffed in a corner somewhere.
They say you walk around the outside of the store. That's where all that stuff is. But you got Jeremy Wheat in Springfield, Mass.
You need a smartphone, Ray, that you can carry with you with a digital plan. Costs you $50 a month. And you could just be sitting there looking at your phone while you're walking through the store, and you could be just looking up all the different stuff in its location.
Then I'd have to learn how to use it. I had enough trouble learning how to use this radio.
They're not very hard. If I can figure it out, Ray, I mean, you're a shoo-in for it. It's all touch screen. It's all very easy. It's all very intuitive. And if you don't want to touch the touch screen, just say, okay, Google, here's what I'm looking for, and it'll bring up what you're looking for.
Yeah, okay, well, I don't know. I don't have much interest in doing something like that, so I really don't worry about it.
Yeah, but you have all the questions, Ray. So if you had a silly phone, you could ask the questions to the silly phone, and then you'd get your answers. At least you'd have a bunch of choices of answers that you could decide which one's right. Either that, or you could get a bigger screen, like an iPad or something, and you'd be in heaven. You could go down to the coffee shop, glom onto their Wi-Fi, and sit there and figure all this stuff out.
Yeah, they're really neat, Ray. They're becoming very, very easy to use, very user-friendly, and the power of information right at your fingertips anywhere you go. It's like having a computer with you everywhere you go. And if you want to know where something is, you just tell Google, hey, I'm looking for this. It'll actually show places in your area where you are and give you a map on how to get there, when they're open, when they're closed. It'll give you a picture of the store. It'll give you the phone number, contact people.
Are you on your HT?
I am.
You can't tell?
Well, yeah, I thought he was, because he sounded terrible. Yeah, that's what I thought he was. Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
How's this microphone sound?
Well, there's nothing wrong with the way it sounds, so I don't know. Everybody says that. Gee, they've been running this mic for a certain 10 years, and then they switch to another mic, and how's the mic sound? I have to hear them side by side. Don't tell me which one. Just give me Mary Had a Little Lamb and switch and do it again, and I'll tell you which one I think sounds better.
Well, I've been running my Shure mic tonight just so I could run it a little bit. Just doesn't really much matter. I know it sounds good and I can hear it. So, but you can hear the background noise a little bit more. I just wish this mic wasn't quite so sensitive.
Is the Shure mic the Elvis Presley mic?
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's more bassy. You sound more bassy with that mic.
Yeah, it may even be set up a little bit bassier. I'm not sure the last time I adjusted it. I know I was adjusting the the AM, and the receive base in treble I adjusted. I don't think I messed with the transmit base.
I like the sound of it.
Thank you, Bruce.
This is KD1 Mountain Whiskey for ID.
Anyway, Randy, pretty soon, probably next month, the road test on the 890 is going to come out in QST. Now, do you have the other QST with your radio in it?
Well, I have a computer, so yeah.
So, but you don't actually have the paper of the QST that your radio was tested in.
Well, I could print it out and have paper.
Okay, because that's what I really want to see, because I've been looking at these specs on these two radios, and if you had the specs in front of you, I'd tell you to look at something very interesting.
Oh, I could look it up probably pretty easily.
Well, you'd have to have one on top of the other to see them side by side. See, I have, you're on page whatever, you're 7851, and then I penciled in the stuff for the 890 right up above it. I can compare them easily, favorably.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess I'm used to looking at computer screens. So I could put one on the phone and one on the computer, or one on the tablet, or one on the laptop. I could work it out.
Well, whatever.
So there's all kinds of organic places that you can get, in your area.
Yeah, what's the name of one?
Jeremy. Jeremy's in Springfield. I'm off that page. I could go back to it, but and then there's a co-op out there. There's Springfield Co-op.
Yeah, well, I never heard of them. That's why I'm asking.
Well, because you sit in the house and you only go to 3 different places in your whole life. You go to the same grocery store, the same gas station, and the market down the road that your buddy owns.
But I never heard of Jeremy's, and I've been living around here for my whole life.
Did he just quit transmitting in the middle of his transmission, or is that my radio blowing up?
Your radio took a dump.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Mark, I'm glad I could help.
I'm running shoestrings and bubblegum operation here. Anytime anybody hears something stupid, let me know.
And you want $2,500 for that?
No, Randy, not for this. Everything.
Hey, Randy, that includes the radio, the amp, the antenna, the tuner, all his odds and ends, the HT, and the house.
That's right.
And the car.
Hey, Bruce, have you used any more of that chunk that I gave you?
I think I pulled a resistor or two out of it the other day, and I was pulling through the capacitors. There's a nice little collection of caps in there, some micas, silver micas, and yeah, it's there. There's more than I can use. So I got to figure out, where to stash the rest of it. Most of it's cataloged and put away, but yeah, it's great to have bins of stuff.
Okay, good. I'm happy it's going to good use. 40 Belmont Avenue, Ray. 40 Belmont Avenue, Springfield, Mass.
Okay, 40 Belmont Ave. So that means Belmont Ave, 40. Okay. So I have to bring my Benelli shotgun and my 45 auto. That has got to be 45 Belmont Ave. God, you'd need an army to go with you.
Well, you must do okay. They've got, it employs 2 employees and is generating approximately $130,000 a year in revenue.
Well, that's not a lot of money. Anyway, that's a really, really bad area. Belmont Ave. God, that's way down the beginning. I can't even imagine. Oh, I know where it is. I know exactly where it is. That's where the hookers hang out.
No wonder why you know where it is.
This is good. That's a one-stop shop.
Yeah, it's always the really shady people around there. I know exactly where it is. Wow. That's
like
amazing.
The Patriots?
Anyway, you couldn't go down there in the nighttime for sure. In the daytime would be scary. Well, anyway, that's why I didn't know where it was.
I'm really shocked.
Well, you know those places in Syracuse, I think, not Syracuse, where you used to live, where you said you can't even go to that part of town. That's the way this part of town would be.
Oh, Syracuse has some pretty bad parts. At nighttime, there's always a shooting. I mean, it's like every day or every other day there's somebody getting shot, stabbed, or mugged, some sort of way.
Well, this place would be just like that. I would be really leery about walking into this place because I know I can picture it. There's always a whole bunch of really seedy people hanging around out front.
Yeah, well, but yet this place stays in business, so they must be doing something. Maybe they're selling something besides wheat. I don't know. KB2 ZVP at the very bottom.
That's exactly what they're doing. One, and two, they probably take food stamps and probably, give you 35 or 40 cents on the dollar for your food stamps. But you can't do that anymore. I don't think. Yeah, you could still do it. Yeah, you could still do it with an EBT card. Sure.
KT2D. I'm going to head out, guys. I got to hit the sack. I'm starting to fade here. Good chatting with you, and we'll catch you another time. KT2D, 7-3.
Good night, Tootie.
Good night.
And Schwarzkopf was a 4-star?
Yes, he was.
Right, okay. I knew he had a lot of stars. I didn't remember he was 4, but... Well, like I said, I got a real that was a good laugh tonight. I'll have to tell Randy. He'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah, not bad.
Anyway, Randy, Bob was telling me that when he was in the Mideast, he wasn't. You're going to love this, Randy. You're going to love it. You're sitting. You have to be sitting down. You're not standing like so. You're getting rest in your back, are you?
I'm sitting.
Okay. He was not allowed to carry a gun over there. Okay. Lieutenant Colonel, but not allowed to carry a gun. So I mentioned, Schwarzkopf was there. Every time I saw Schwarzkopf running around, he was carrying a Remington 870 with an extended magazine pump shotgun. And he goes, well, he can't legally do that because, I guess if you're an officer, you're not allowed to carry a gun. So I said, and how many stars did he have? And he said 4. And I said, okay, so that's why he could carry the gun.
Yeah, that's right. Those rules didn't apply to him.
So hold on. Let me correct the record here. No, we were all armed. The CENTCOM General Order Number 1 that Norm Schwarzkopf signed prohibited any member of Central Command, which we all were, of having a personally owned weapon. So I couldn't bring my weapons from home, which was Germany at the time, over there. So we had our issued weapons. So we were all armed to the teeth. I just couldn't take my own Colt with me. And I wasn't a lieutenant colonel, and I was only a lowly major. So anyway, but yep, that was just another indication of if you're at the top, you can kind of make the rules. And if you make the rules, you can excuse yourself from them.
Oh, wait a second. Isn't a Remington 870 a gun that the military carries over there? Because I've seen a lot of them breaching doors with a gun like that.
Yeah, there's a bunch. They have a number of things like that, trench guns and things like that. But I think I remember seeing the clip of him talking to Barbara Walters and talking about his daddy's, and I don't know if he had an 870. I thought it was a double barrel, but I can't remember. It might have been a pump. But it was his gun or his father's gun or something like that. But that was my only point. We were armed. We just had to use government-issue arms.
Oh, well, that's okay then. There's nothing wrong with the government-issue arms. You could carry. They had shotguns.
Yeah, I know. That was good and everything, but I wanted my 45 with my, my tritium sights, and I was used to shooting it. That's all. That's all it was.
I remember, I don't know if it's still this way in Springfield, but yeah, it certainly was a number of years ago. So if a cop was off duty, he was not allowed to carry a sidearm.
Yeah, it was that way in Eastern Mass, the town where I grew up. And I wonder if there must be rules that apply to each municipality separately. Anyway, so I'm really going now. Have a good one, guys. KT Tootie.
Okay. 7-3 and 1 DVL.
I remember during the Gulf War, there was an interview with Schwarzkopf, and in his bedroom, in the corner of the room, was leaning a double-barrel shotgun, and they were talking about it.
Yeah, well, that's what Bob just said. He had a double barrel, but I saw him a couple times walking around, and he was definitely carrying a Remington 870 because I have a couple of them, and I know what they look like.
He probably had his choice.
I think when you're a 4-star general, you can do anything you want, right?
Unless the president counteracts you.
Well, I don't think George Bush was dumb enough to counteract a 4-star general.
I'm just saying.
Or brave enough. Boy, I'm looking at a Jeep pickup. What do they call them? Concept. This thing is sick. I would buy it in a second.
But they don't make it, right?
No, it's a concept.
Yeah. So if you want it, it's going to cost you 150 G's.
Yeah, it's nothing.
That's just chicken feed, right?
Yeah, that's all.
Hey, Randy.
Yes, sir?
I took your lead the other day, a couple days ago. I guess it was Sunday. And took off the counterweight on the back of the tractor and put on the tiller. Went into the garden, did some tilling, and I was doing a strip. All of a sudden, the right front wheel on the old John Deere locked up on me. I thought I hit a stone or something, It's just, I had it in 2-wheel drive. But anyway, not the case. I got a problem in the drive on the gearbox on the right front wheel. I'm bumming.
And that's a Ford what? What model?
It is a John Deere 870. It was a 19, I don't know, it's probably 30 years old.
Oh, it's a John Deere. Okay, so it's a John Deere and the right wheel. That's got like a pinion in there. You should be able to get that apart. Pretty simple. Did you try putting in 4-wheel drive and backing up?
Yeah, I could back up a bit, but I pulled it apart this afternoon. I've got the part that's frozen up in on my bench. I gotta clean it up and take it apart. There's definitely something. I think we got a piece of metal lodged into the gears or something. There's a shaft that comes out of the differential, the front differential, that comes out when you pull this piece off of the off of the wheel assembly, and so that that drive shaft, it makes a right angle there, and goes down, and then there's another right angle, a hypoid type drive. So the bottom gears, the first ones that you get exposed when you pull the wheel off, are fine, but it's the upper one that makes the first 90-degree turn. That's where the problem is.
Yeah, that's what I meant by pinion. It's like a pinion shaft arrangement. So, yeah, it might be something simple, but you might have knocked a tooth off. And it just, but you weren't pulling in four-wheel drive. You were in two-wheel drive, you said, right?
Yeah, I think maybe something just was on the hairy edge of breaking, and it went. So, anyway, we'll find out. I got to clean it up maybe tomorrow and get it apart so I can get some parts, whatever I need, and then just replace all the gaskets and seals and stuff, and maybe the bearings if they look, especially if there's been some metal ground up in them.
Yeah, maybe you'll get lucky and you one of the cages came off the bearing or something, and you dropped the roller, out of the bearing into the gear, and you just have to pop out the bearing and put a new bearing in. Well, let me know. I'm interested. Even take some pictures and send them over. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, sure. I thought you'd be interested. I'm bumming. That tractor's been nothing but good for me. It's been my right hand, my back, my lower back. It's been all an aid to every part of me.
Is it a diesel?
Yeah.
There's nothing like having a nice tractor with a bucket on it and a 3-point hitch on the back. They are so handy, and you don't know how much you need one until you have one, and then you decide it takes care of the shovel, the wheelbarrow, the rake. It all goes away. You forget where you left all that stuff because you just use the tractor.
Yeah, that's right. As soon as I got it, I've had it for a long time. I didn't know. I asked myself, how the hell did I ever manage without it?
Well, I've had a couple of them. I've had Ford Kubotas, and when we moved out here, I was complaining about not having a tractor, and then Randy W1RSS. He had come into some issues with money, and he had a really sweet deal on the tractor, and I wasn't going to buy it, but Maureen kind of insisted that we go out and get it, so I did, and boy, am I happy that I did. It was a little 22-horse or 23-horse Kubota, but I got it at a really, really good price, and I got a ton of equipment with it, and I wound up swapping that tractor that I paid $14,000 and a whole bunch of equipment. I traded the tractor itself, and I got over $20,000 for it, for trading that towards my newer, bigger tractor. So that was a great deal, and it worked out. And boy, am I happy, because I'm on that tractor all the time.
How big are the wheels on that tractor?
I don't know. 4 feet, 4.5 feet, maybe something like that. Maybe they're not 5. No, 4 feet probably.
That's a good-sized tractor.
Oh, it's not a garden tractor. It's, I would have to measure, Ray. I don't know how tall they are, to be honest with you. I know the front ones are probably close to 20 inches.
Yeah, that's about the same size as the one I got. It. They're called mid-size, aren't they?
Yeah. They're not compact. They're not maybe it's compact. They're not subcompact. They have different, like they have in Kubota, they'd have the BX, the B, the L, the M series. This is a B series, so it's not the small ones like a garden tractor. That's the BX, and then they have the B series, which is what I have.
Now that's the one that doesn't have that horrible smog stuff on it, right?
Right. It's got the largest engine that you can get before they have all that the pollution stuff. And I didn't get it for that reason, because this pollution stuff that everybody was having trouble with is just really kind of a thing of the past. They've got that figured out pretty well.
Does your new tractor have it?
No, it doesn't.
Well, I've heard horror stories about that.
Well, they have a lot of problems with sensors and like that. I mean, we've got a brand new truck that had to get towed off the road the other day, and it was just a sensor. It wasn't bad, but luckily it was a brand new truck, and the company that we got the truck from, they sent a new truck out to take its place, and our driver drove that truck back, and they drove ours, or they towed ours to the shop, and they fixed it.
Oh, unbelievable. Brand new truck, and it just stops running like that. Even if a sensor went bad, you would think it would be able to limp home.
Well, he can limp it. He limped it 5 miles. But he's in Buffalo, you know. I mean, limping it at 2 or 3 miles an hour from Buffalo is not going to work out too good for us.
Yeah, I said limp, but I mean, okay, so it doesn't run right, but it still should be able to go the speed limit.
No, they won't. They won't let themselves kill themselves, you know.
Boy, that's pretty discouraging.
That's a nice tractor, Bruce.
Yeah, I love the thing. We had a guy fabricate up a set of forks for it. He put some hooks on top of the bucket, 3 of them. You know, just some plate steel hooks welded to the bucket, and then 1.25-inch rod going across that goes through these L-shaped forks, so I can just, you know, roll the bucket, hook onto the forks, and lift pallets of stuff up and move things around. That's real handy having that, and it's just a quick disconnect too, you know.
Yeah, sure. I've got, I want to buy, mine's got a quick disconnect on the front. It's got 2 handles. You can just drop the bucket off, and it's got like this, they call it a skid steer front end on it. So I can buy the skid steer plate, and I've got a set of forks here from a fork that I can mount onto that. Yeah, but they're pretty cool, those plates. I'm not sure if you've seen them. You can just buy these plates, and you can attach anything to them. You know, you do some fabrication, and whatever you want to do, you can hook to this plate and just go over and pick it up with a tractor. It's got 2 handles that you just snap, and it just takes it off.
Yeah, it'd be nice because you could shed the weight of the bucket and bring the forks in a little tighter so you could lift a little more weight with the forks. That'd be nice to have. I always thought it'd be nice for my driveway situation. It'd be nice to have like a V plow, just so you can make one pass, you know, and just push the stuff off to each side.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I mean, they sell those. You know, they sell plows for tractors, and that's a good sized tractor you have. I mean, it'll pick up what did I see, 1,400 or 1,500 pounds in the back, rear lift. No, 1,800 pounds. So it's a pretty stout tractor.
How are those things like? If you put a snowplow blade on one of those, will they push 18 inches of snow?
You know, maybe if it was angled or something. His tractor weighs 2,500 pounds, so it's pretty heavy.
What does yours weigh?
I don't know. I don't think it's that heavy. Maybe it is. I don't know how much it weighs. Well, let me take a look.
I think you could push that kind of snow around with it. You throw the thing in 4-wheel drive, you can do amazing things with it.
Well, mine pushes a lot of snow with the front bucket. I mean, when I want to push snow, you know, it pushes no trouble.
Hey, Randy.
Yes, sir.
How far is this tower going to be away from your house?
Oh, 100 feet-ish, maybe more.
So we're talking about 100 feet of towed harbor line?
Yeah.
All right, just checking.
You still working on that?
Yeah, I got it down to 2 to 1, but the dimensions are different than the numbers you gave me. I had to elongate it.
Well, that doesn't matter, as long as you get it to work. What's the angle of radiation?
Well, that's the problem. It's 25 degrees, and the gain is about what you would expect for a vertical, which is like 1 dB.
Well, that's okay. I'm not worried about that. 25 degrees. The maximum angle is at 25. So it did bring up the angle from what's the vertical without the wires on it.
Now, most of your verticals are 25 degrees, and then the more radials you add, the more you pull it down. So I don't have any radials under this thing, and I've got 4 wires in the top in the capacitance pad on it. So I'm tinkering around with it, changing the where it feeds and stuff to see if I get any changes out of it.
And how long is the wire coming off the top now? Because I originally gave you 98 feet.
99.45 feet.
Okay, that's not too long. What happens if you bring it out to 129 feet or 125 feet?
Well, I'm still working on it, so I haven't gone out that far with it, but right now I've got it. The vertical is 129 feet, and then the cap hat things are coming down at a 45-degree angle, and let's see. Oh, and they're a ways off the deck there. They're probably 70 or 80 feet off the ground. I gotta look at it again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the whole object of this is to get the angle of radiation up, say, up really 45 or higher.
KC3 KXP.
Hello, Tom.
Hi, Randy.
Where have you been?
I was at the Ham Radio Club meeting tonight.
How many times did you talk about the world-famous Toad Harbor net?
Well, it didn't do any good because I don't think a one of them there has ever been on 160. I can't say that either. There's one that he didn't show up there, but he's the only guy that's ever been up here on the low bands.
Oh, then they're not real hams.
A little over 1,800 pounds, Ray.
Okay. Yeah, but you can easily put a big weight on the back, 400 or 500 pounds, right?
Yeah, I have a weight for that. Well, it does a great job when I've got the rototiller. That weighs 700 pounds on the back, you know.
Right, but then you can't use your snowblower.
Or if I have the snowblower on the back, it weighs 500 pounds anyway. So, yeah, so it you know, I mean, and I've got a weight box that I built, you know, and I've got, I mean, you know, it's a great little tractor. It does a great job. It'll pick up 2,000 pounds, 2,100 pounds off the back, and, you know, it does a good job.
Are you supposed to fill the tires with salt water?
They're filled with windshield washer fluid.
Oh, really? How much does that add weight?
Well, it added, I used 55 gallons to fill the tires.
Okay, so 55 times, that's alcohol, it's lighter than water, so say 55 times 7 pounds. I have to use a calculator these days. 55 times 7 equals, that's almost 400 pounds.
Yeah, and there's not much alcohol in windshield washer fluid, just enough to keep it from freezing, you know.
That's better than calcium that rots out your rims.
Put, like a mixture of salt and water, you know, really lots and lots of salt.
Well, they use calcium, and that just kills the wheels.
Yeah, I know. It eats the wheels up. I understand that.
Kubota?
Yeah.
They sometimes use beet juice.
I've never heard of that. Well, I think I have heard of that, but I've never used it.
What's that, Randy?
Beet juice. Wouldn't that freeze, though? At some point, I mean, at some point anything will freeze, but what's the freezing point of beet juice?
I think it's negative 15 or negative 20.
So it's probably close to the windshield washer fluid that I used.
Hey, now I know where you can get rid of all your old motor oil.
Yeah, you could probably do that.
Down in Florida, I used a Mahindra 24-horse diesel. Up here, I've got a 2040 John Deere that I use.
Yeah, Bruce is talking about his 870 John Deere. He's got a little issue with it.
Well, whatever you have done with a John Deere, it's guaranteed to be expensive.
My wife's got an old John Deere garden tractor. I've got to get a hood for that. But that's a good running little tractor.
You gotta get a hood for it?
Yeah, I tripped and I landed on it. I put my hand on it and I busted down through it. It's an old John Deere and it's got a plastic. The hood is plastic, and I broke the top of it.
It's funny. We got the same situation here with ours lawnmower, and it's the hood. Yeah, you hit trees and shrubs and stuff, and you're mowing and it cracks and. It started shedding pieces, so I finally just took the whole thing and threw it away. And I just put a couple of pieces of square stock aluminum from the frame that holds the instrument panel to the front panel, the front grill, and I run it wide open without any hood on it. The hell with it.
Yeah, I don't know if I want her to. I mean, she's like, I don't care as long as it runs. I don't care if it's got a hood, but I don't want it to look too ghetto-y here,
Look for John Deere parts on eBay. You probably could find one.
Yeah, I will. It's a 266, and if you know anything about John Deere tractors, garden tractors, it's a very highly sought-after tractor. I had no idea when I bought it, but every time I go to a John Deere dealer and I tell them I got a 266, they all say, wow, when you want to sell that, make sure you bring it here, because the things will just go forever, and they're very heavy, and it's just a nice machine. And I've had to get a few parts for it, but I mean, I've got it from, I told you when the other company, we had a John Deere dealership. So, and the guy that was running it was kind of a friend, so he gave me a really sweet deal. And that store since has closed up. But the local John Deere place, the guy that ran the John Deere dealership works there now, and I saw him. And when I walked in there, he said, "You still got the 266?" I said, "Yeah, that's what I'm getting parts for." He goes, "Whenever you're ready to sell that, let me know. I want to buy it." He says. So it's a pretty cool tractor, and it's real rough. Real rugged, and handles rough terrain pretty well. And I use the Mullen deck like it's a brush hog,
In other words, it's pre-MTD.
Oh yeah, way before. I hit the water shut off, the water main shut off at the cast iron, thing that sticks up, and I cleaned it right off. I heard this loud bang crash, and I stopped and I backed up, and I looked over and I shot the whole cast iron piece right out through the blades, and cleaned the pipe right off.
Excellent.
And then I started it back up and finished mowing. I still got the same blades on it. That was 3 years ago. I I use the Kubota. I pick it up off the ground, the front end. I lay underneath it. I pull the blades off. I hit it with a grinder, sharpen them up real good, and put them back on. And every year I say to her, I got to get you new blades next year. And 4 years later, we're still using the same blades.
I'm going to bed, guys. 7-3, N1 DVO.
Good night.
Good night, Ray. 73.
Yeah, hey, just a little note for everybody. Start disconnecting your radio every day now, because we were supposed to get a lightning storm today. It didn't happen, but they said that we could get lightning. So I would start disconnecting your radio if you're going to leave the house. N1 DVO.
Hey, we got lightning off to our west.
Nothing here yet, but the meter's showing it. There was a bunch of it down south last night. Ran all the way from north of D.C. down to Florida, tip of Florida, or the northern tip of Florida. I don't know. Yeah, you got that's Ray makes a good point, but I do it anyway. I flip switches as a routine thing here.
I just checked here again. Geez, now it's saying 560.